What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Overdose. I'm your host, Jaye. I'm joined today with a special guest.
Amina, what's good?
All right. Now, you are very familiar with all things that are like truth in nature and red pillish type of things, right? Mm-hmm. The real reason women travel overseas. What comes to your mind when you hear that?
He about to say some judgmental ass shit. Like, all these men just want to speak on women like they know, but let's see.
Okay, why do you travel overseas?
Because it's fun. Everybody loves to travel and experience different cultures, just see different parts of the world other than the bubble you live in is a great experience.
Okay. Let's jump into it.
It is basically impossible to talk about what comes natural to women when it comes to sexual behavior, at least in biological terms, because we are highly social creatures and we're heavily influenced by our cultural environment. Biologically speaking, the women in Saudi Arabia who wear hijabs and are virgins until they marry their husbands are identical to the women in Europe who go out partying to nightclubs every single week and are, having 3 one-night stands every month. So in order to understand this different sexual behavior, we can't look to biology. We need to look to sociology and anthropology for clues as to how these differences arose. Now, while it's obvious to say that women in different cultures display different types of sexual behavior, where this gets really interesting is when you take a woman from one culture and you actually take that same individual woman and you place her in a different culture and then watch to see how her sexual behavior changes. That's what we're going to explore in this video. I'm going to explain why a woman's sexual behavior changes when she's traveling overseas. You've probably noticed that women, when they're traveling, when they're tourists, they become a lot more promiscuous, a lot more sexually adventurous, more prone to sexual risk-taking. And we're going to explore why that is. To help me...
He just said something. Do you agree so far?
I don't know. I do feel like everybody in vacation mode goes a little bit wild. People love to put the spotlight on women, but I bet you men do the same thing. Okay. So I don't think necessarily he's wrong, but your environment definitely plays a role in how you act. That's true.
Okay.
I'm going to be referencing a study called The Phenomenology of Young Women's Sexual Risk-Taking in Tourism. This was largely a qualitative study, which is wonderful because it features actual interviews with the women who were engaging in sexual risk-taking and behaviors overseas that they would never do at home. And we've got some excerpts from those interviews and we're going to get into that later. But let's start by stating something that should be completely obvious if you've been paying any attention to the world around you, which is that women, when they're traveling overseas, are a lot more promiscuous than they are when they're at home. I'm from Australia and I've traveled a lot through Southeast Asia, and it's always crazy to see how the women from North America, Europe, Australia, how excited they are to just get in their bikinis, go down to the beach, get drunk, and then hook up with a bunch of guys. It's like they're suddenly possessed, they're doing things that you would never see them do back in their home country. When I was younger, you would hear guys...
Quick question. When you travel to like a lot of places, right? Mm-hmm. When you travel, do you find yourself doing things when you travel that you wouldn't do or haven't done in your like hometown or whatever?
Things, yes. I wouldn't say I'm more sexually promiscuous like he's saying. No. In that case, I'm just the same because I just be traveling with my friends or my family. So I'm the same, I'm with my same people, Mm-hmm. But everybody travels and everyone parties in different ways. Mm-hmm. But I be doing things I wouldn't normally do, like adventurous type shit. That's the point of traveling, is to step out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Talk about their travel overseas, and they would always say that it was way easier to hook up with girls when you were traveling than it was back home. Even if it's the exact same girl, like if you're from the same hometown in the West, if you meet her at a local bar, you're not going to have a chance with her, but suddenly you meet her on a beach in Thailand and it's game on. I've known guys who have worked as tour guides for those bus-about tours in Europe, like the Contiki ones where they travel from city to city in this big bus, and the stories that they tell you are absolutely insane. They're the sort of alpha of the situation. They're pointing out, here's this and we're going this way now, and all the young tourist girls are just throwing themselves at these guys. It's nuts. It's like they have all of this pent-up sexual energy that as soon as they hop on a plane and land in a foreign country, it just explodes. But why is this? Why do these seemingly normal women who would never engage in casual sex when they're at home do this when they're traveling overseas. Let's hear what the women in the study had to say. Jade said, "I'm not really like that, like hook up with anybody, but that's just part of being a tourist. And since this was my first night out, and I was okay with this guy, and maybe just this whatever attitude." Isn't that interesting? Despite saying that she's not really like that, she hooked up with a guy on her very first night as a tourist. Jade argued, "At home, this is..."
Okay, so what about you?
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Like, because like I was saying before, when you're out, you know, especially if you're around people you don't know, like you don't have your whole reputation following you, like you feel more comfortable doing things because nobody's gonna know you're in vacation mode, so you go crazy. Like people not only have sex more, but they drink more, or they'll try a new drug or whatever. Like that's the point of traveling.
I'm talking about you personally.
Me personally, like in terms of like hooking up with people.
Hooking up, partying, yeah.
I mean, I'll party more, but I hook up with people. I feel like the same amount, just regular, like you know.
Okay.
Like I don't really go like crazy like that, but people do. I see why.
Okay.
Where your job is, your reputation is, so you don't want to mess that up because this is the society where you have to live. It's not safe to behave the way that I want to behave because it's going to affect my reputation. But overseas, where I'm a stranger and nobody knows me, that's not a problem. Likewise, Vanessa concluded, having risky sex on vacation wouldn't be as bad as if you were to do it on an everyday kind of routine. Because in tourism, things get out of hand. It doesn't mean anything. At our age, when you go on vacation, it's expected to do crazy stuff. But if it were to happen like within the normal routine, then I'll be like...
But I see you laughing. So what are your
funny.
thoughts?
I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with having risky sex if you want to have risky sex, but I still think you should have safe sex when you go on vacation.
Yeah, true.
Because you never want to catch nothing crazy.
That you can't get rid of.
Exactly.
Like, okay, there's a problem. There you have an explicit acknowledgement that the rules for what is normal and acceptable changes based on the context. Casual sex would be a problem if I was at home because that would mean that I was a promiscuous person. But because I'm doing that kind of behavior while I'm traveling, different rules apply. Women have to worry about their reputations and gossip that spread out. So in this way, tourism offers us some advantages. Women might just relax because of the fact that they don't have to worry about what someone thinks, or says, or gossips. The fact that they can come home and don't have to worry about having that stigma attached to them because whatever they did happened in that location only and it can just be kept there. So there's this consistent theme that when you're traveling overseas, you can sexually explore and engage in behaviors that you can't do at home. Now, some people might be tempted to try and explain this from a purely social point of view, saying that women are victims of a double standard, you know, they're subject to slut shaming and they live in this toxic patriarchy which wants to restrict female sexual behavior because it's so insecure. If you believe that, then you will absolutely celebrate these women's choices when they go overseas. Like, you go girl, yeah, get out there and be sexually empowered. You need to get away from all of those hypocrites. There's nothing wrong with a woman having casual sex. And so if being a tourist and going overseas helps you discover that true part of who you are, then that's wonderful. Now, there is some truth to that, obviously. I'm not going
Where do you lean on that?
I mean, I agree with it.
Okay,
He's being very sarcastic about it, but like I said, like when you apply it to women, it sounds controversial.
Okay.
But men do this shit all the time, and it's not anything weird. Like men have sex on vacation, at home, at their friend's house, at the other friend's house, like everywhere. Women do too. Like everybody loves sex, but when women do it, it's like, oh, she acting weird, annoying.
Okay. It's like a bad thing versus guys like a kind of a good thing. Okay.
To deny that there are lots of women who feel like their personal sexual choices are subject to an unreasonably large amount of social scrutiny. But it's too simplistic to say that women can't be themselves at home, so they need to travel overseas in order to discover their true selves, because the notion of a true self when it comes to sexual behavior is a red herring. As we established earlier, there is no innate prescription for how a woman should behave sexually, because sexual behavior is not just a matter of biology, it's a matter of culture. When you understand that, you can appreciate that when a woman is being modest at home and promiscuous while being overseas, this isn't some aberration. She's not being more or less authentic in either context. There's actually a consistency. This is the same sexual strategy playing out. Her sexual strategy is designed to change and morph based on the environment that she finds herself in. So what is this strategy I'm talking about? Well, ask yourself, what is the goal for a woman, reproductively speaking? It is to sleep with a man who has good genes so that you can create healthy, strong children. And this man is also a fantastic provider. So in terms of protection and resources, your children are going to be well taken care of. Now, for a high quality woman, finding a man like that is easy. You know, she has every expectation that she's going to be able to find a man who's the total package. Being as desirable as she is, she's not only going to be able to convince a high quality man to sleep with her, but she's going to be able to leverage her desirability into securing from him a long-term commitment. But a low quality woman can't get that. She might be able to convince the high quality man to sleep with her and she gets his genes, she can have his babies, but being a low quality woman, she's not going to be able to convince him to stick around in the long term and provide for those children.
What?
You being harsh. What is low quality to him?
I'm guessing low quality means low, because for men it's about looks, so low quality would
Like
be
ugly
less
type
attractive.
shit?
Yeah, exactly.
You seen this man?
But
He got
looks,
hair on his neck.
looks doesn't matter for women as much as looks matters for men. Make sense? So for us, a low quality man would be someone who doesn't have status, who doesn't have money, who doesn't have power.
I guess it depends. Like, women want different things. And also, he was saying the women's purpose reproductively is to have kids and do this. Not all women want kids, and some women have money. Not all women need a man with money. Like, everyone's different. There's somebody out there for everybody. So he gatekeeping a little bit.
Gatekeeping. All right.
She was a viable option for sex, but not for commitment. You know, he senses that he can do better. And so enters the backup sexual strategy, cuckolding. This is when a woman sleeps with a man who has good genes and she has his children, but she partners up with a man who perhaps doesn't have really good genes, but he's going to be a wonderful provider. And she convinces this new man that the children are his, which biologically tricks him into investing into those offspring. This strategy of paternity fraud is actually the reason, biologically, why human women developed concealed ovulation. Unlike almost every other animal in nature...
Did you say human women?
Yeah.
You can't tell when a female human is ovulating, which makes paternity deception.
He sounds like he's on
easier.
Animal Planet.
I told you he was much more like, it's much more like a class when you listen to him.
If you haven't seen it, I did a full video on this. Really good video. I'll put a link to it down below. Now, we're talking ancient evolutionary instincts here, things that are deeply inside our biology. I'm not saying that women are at all consciously aware of this, but when you realize that it is a viable sexual strategy that evolution has positively selected for in women to sleep with one man to get his genes and then convince another man to raise those children, suddenly the female impulse to become promiscuous while overseas but not at home, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
A lot of men struggle with the idea that women could ever desire casual sex. They have this notion of women as being, you know, more pure and angelic than that. They would never have those kind of desires. That kind of desire, you know, belongs to men. I hate to shatter your illusions here, but women absolutely have strong desires for casual sex. That instinct is very much alive. When they see high quality men in their everyday life, that instinct bubbles up and they think, oh, I'd love to sleep with that guy. None of this is rational, but she does have that biological...
You did bring up a point about high quality. So what makes a guy more high quality for you personally?
For me personally, it depends on like my personal vibe with that person. Like somebody that treats me right and makes me feel happy. Not necessarily looks or money, which are important, of course. And it all goes into it's all a factor for quality. Like high quality obviously has all of that.
Gotcha.
But, you know, it's a lot of factors.
Okay, what are like the main factors? Is it money, power, and status?
No,
Is
not
it
for me.
is it like personality type of?
Yeah, like personality and like, just like I guess personality type, just like that vibes with the same, you know, compatibility, whatever. And just like overall respect towards other people too, you know, not just me.
Okay.
Programming available for that sexual strategy that says, okay, I'm going to have a wonderful night with this high status man, but he's probably not going to stick around and raise the children. That's okay. I can always convince some other guy to raise them. Again, I'm sorry to repeat myself. I hope this is obvious when we're talking about evolutionary psychology, but I'm not saying that women actually have these conscious thoughts. I'm talking about these sort of crude leftover instincts that we have from evolution that even though they exist in our sort of subconscious, they absolutely still guide our behavior today. But if women do have these instincts, you know, they have that that desire for casual sex with a high status man, why don't they act upon it? Well, the reason is social stigma. Reading directly from the study. Among the social consequences of SRT, sexual risk-taking, women discussed social disapproval, a spoiled reputation and tainted professional image, ruined friendships, and the breach of privacy. The women emphasized the necessity to remain a good reputation at home, which could be jeopardized by sexual risk-taking. No man wants to have a long-term partnership with a promiscuous woman because there's such an increased likelihood of paternity fraud. You know, if she's slept with heaps and heaps of men in the past, then the likelihood that the children that she produces are his are significantly diminished. Even if her promiscuity was in the past, there's always going to be this concern in the back of his head that says, well, she had a lot of casual sex once, then what's to stop her from doing it again? You know, I feel like there's this increased likelihood of infidelity. Now, this part is really, really important. Understand that women have to be extremely careful about protecting their reputations at home in order to maintain their desirability in the eyes of high-quality men. If she's in a social circle filled with amazing...
Do you agree with that part? That's one sentence that he just said.
Yeah, for sure, because not just men, like they were saying, all these societal things that go into your reputation, because of that fact that sexually women are looked down upon for doing whatever they want, like that's annoying because that means we have to act a certain way just to keep our job or keep our man or keep our friends or whatever, you know?
Okay, got you.
It's definitely a thing.
So for you personally, you would rather be much more free, much more less judgmental.
What do you mean? Like for me...
Meaning, like, you would rather the world be less judgmental towards that behavior.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because just in general, like, I feel like at the end of the day, people are they should do whatever they want to do. But a lot of people can't because of that. And, like, yeah, people are just judgmental. Nobody should be judging anybody for anything, in my opinion.
Okay, so follow-up question. You don't think that certain actions have certain consequences?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, of course, you have to be safe. And even sexually, like, of course there's consequences. You could get knocked up by some stranger, or you could get an STD or whatever. There's consequences. Every individual person has to be safe for themselves and look out for themselves. It's not nobody else's job to judge what I'm doing with my sexual life, you know?
Okay. So you don't agree that as a whole society, it's not in their place to shame of behavior that may or may not be beneficial to them later on in life?
You mean the shaming being beneficial?
Exactly. Meaning, like, do you think that society should shame people for things that they do that may or may not be beneficial later on in life?
No, I feel like instead of shaming people, we should just teach people, like, how to be safe, you know what I mean? Or just, like, instead of saying, oh, it's bad if you have a lot of sex, like, it's really not. Like, you just use condoms, use birth control, do what you gotta do, you know? Like... Don't obviously go around with strangers you don't trust. Like, whatever. Do what works for you.
Gotcha.
Why shame people? How is that going to help anybody? It's not going to help society. It's just going to stress one person out.
Okay. All right.
High-quality guys, and she's hoping that one of them is going to become her husband. Then she's going to be devastated if they find out that she's actually secretly really, really promiscuous, because that's going to massively reduce her chances of securing one of them as a long-term partner. And it's not just her reputation with men that she needs to be concerned about, but her reputation amongst women. Because as I've spoken about many times on this channel, women are extremely competitive with each other. There are only so many high-quality males to go around, and all of the women are in de facto competition with each other. And so they're never going to pass up an opportunity to denigrate the competition. Mariah discussed her peers' reaction to her involvement with a local sexual partner in Costa Rica. They were just completely talking about me as being like a filthy whore. I can't believe she's doing that. She's going to get AIDS. And it really hurt. People talking about you, it stinks. It's not fun being chastised. If Mariah and one of her friends were ever chasing the same high-quality guy, I guarantee that her friend would accidentally let it slip that Mariah had involved herself in lots of sexual risk-taking while being overseas, in the hope that that's going to diminish her desirability in the eyes of the high-quality man, and he'll choose her instead. Now,
we find that to be true.
That's a shady friend right there, first of all.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, like, I'm not a guy, so I can't speak from a guy's perspective.
No. I'm saying from a girl's perspective. I'm saying,
What?
Meaning, like, your girlfriends, do you find that to be true that other girlfriends talk about other girlfriends to guys?
I feel like sometimes, obviously, like, a lot of girls are really like shady and messy, so like like they'll try to ruin your thing if they like the same guy, but a real friend wouldn't do that, like a good friend, so careful who your friends are. But I forgot what else I was going to say.
All right.
Now, this next part, some guys find particularly devastating. Not only will a woman save her promiscuous behavior for travel overseas and not give any hint that, she could act like that when she's at home, but once she does return to her home country, in order to protect her reputation, expect her to never speak about what she's done. Young guys need to be aware of this. If you're dating a girl who has traveled heaps, she's lived that backpacker lifestyle, and you start dating her, the likelihood that when she's sharing her sexual history with you, that she's going to be completely upfront and honest about everything that she did, that's pretty low. Why would she volunteer information that is going to decrease her desirability in your eyes?
See that, how we were talking about high quality. High quality man to me is not somebody who's going to judge me because of my body count. Like, I want to be with somebody ideally that I could tell everything to, everybody I've been with, everywhere I've been. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of relationship I want to be in. So sure, a lot of guys are judgmental. What's your body count? Whatever. But a lot of women don't just travel to have sex too. So that's kind of weird. But I don't know.
Okay. Playing devil's advocate here. What if the guy he doesn't really care so much if it's like, 5, 10, 20, but what if you're a girl who has like 100, 200, 300? Shouldn't you want the guy to care at that point? Because obviously the girl's making decisions based off of that.
Well, that's the thing. If you're single and you have you have a lot of sex or whatever, when you're single and that's your thing, that doesn't mean you can't be loyal and settle down and stop having sex. That just means you're single. Like, that's under the assumption that just because I've had a lot of sex before, I'm a cheat on you. Like, no, like, guys have a lot of sex too, and they could be loyal. Usually they're not, though. So, like, it really depends.
Okay.
Like, you can still be loyal. If you find somebody that's high quality to you, you'd be stupid to keep sleeping around if that's who you want to settle down with.
Okay.
And like, some guys care about that, some guys don't. So if a guy doesn't like that, then just move on. Don't shame her, just move on.
Okay.
She's not going to consciously do harm to herself and her prospects. The rational thing for her to do is to, strategically leave out a few details. That 3-month romance that she had with that guy in that semi-committed relationship, she might own up to that. But those other guys whose names she doesn't remember because she was so drunk and she forgot to ask them to wear protection, she might leave them out. So this is what a woman wants when she is promiscuous overseas. It's because she wants to live her life free of the social consequences. It's okay to let loose in another country because nobody would really remember. There would be no ramifications or precautions. So gentlemen, there's a couple of different lessons that we can learn from this. The most surface level being is that if you're interested in casual hookups, then you greatly increase your chances by traveling overseas. But of course, the more important lesson here is to understand that this is a common phenomenon. This isn't some aberration in female behavior. This is part of a wider sexual strategy that many women engage in. If you find yourself dating a woman who has done a lot of traveling, don't settle for a surface level explanation. There is
He literally just said, hey man, if you want to have a lot of sex, go travel. Oh, but all these women are terrible for doing it.
Yeah,
so
but
he just admitting that men are doing the same thing. Like, these women aren't fucking themselves over the seas.
Yeah, but they're
they're having sex with men overseas or wherever the fuck.
Yeah, with the men that are there.
Yeah, or men who travel too. He just said, men, if you want to get pussy, travel. It's basically what he just said.
Yes, if you want to get more pussy, travel. Yes, that's what he just said.
And that's doing the exact same thing, which is being more promiscuous overseas because you can versus at home when you can't.
Got you. Okay. No, I agree with that first part, but the second part, I think you said something that I didn't agree with. I forgot what you said. I forgot what you said. But did you? What about the second point that he made about? And see, I forgot. I'm getting a little tired.
He's saying a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
A sexual strategy that many women engage in. If you find yourself dating a woman who has done a lot of traveling, don't settle for a surface level explanation.
Oh, he's saying she gonna lie?
There's increased likelihood that she's going to withhold information from you, and so it is worthwhile pursuing that information with a little bit more vigor than usual. Ask some follow-up questions, ask for details, and keep talking about it until you feel confident that you know the whole truth. That's just doing your due diligence. That's just gathering all of the necessary data that you need in order to make an informed decision about whether or not this is a woman that you can spend your life with.
I just don't understand. Like, he's deciding if he likes this woman based off every single hookup she's ever had in her life leading up to that moment. Like, I didn't know you before. Why you care? You weren't
No. I think he's at this particular moment right now. I think he's talking about you are in a relationship with the woman who travels.
So if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be cheating if you're traveling or not. Like, you got other.
Okay, no.
issues to worry
I
about.
think you're missing the overall
Like that
point.
she traveled in life in general.
No. So let's say we're in a relationship. Obviously, it's a level that you're cheat, that you're whatever type of woman you are. It's a level of what you're cheat. All he's saying is that when they travel, that level is heightened to more. So meaning like just be more aware about what she's doing and stuff like that. I think that goes for both sides. Honestly, that goes for men and women.
It could, yeah. I agree. I mean, people definitely act wilder when they're on vacation, but like I said, if you're in a serious relationship, if you're a good person, you're not going to be cheating whether you travel. You can still travel and not cheat. Mm-hmm. You can. It's a thing.
He's just saying you're more likely to. That's all he's saying. He's not saying that you will cheat. He's just saying you're much more likely to.
Okay, all right. I'll let it slide.
Let it slide. All right. So overall, do you get the gist or agree with the gist? You have any final thoughts?
I get it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the facts are there. There is a double standard. Mm-hmm. Women and men have more sex when they travel. These are all facts. But the problem with me is that we're looking at it from a shaming and judgmental point of view. Like, gotcha. Why is it so bad? Everybody has sex. Sex is natural and good and it's fun. People do it. Like, why is it so bad? Just be safe. That's it.
All right. It's your boy Don Jaye. Oh, where can they find you?
Amina Mara on Instagram.
Amina Mara on Instagram. It's your boy Don Jaye. If you like this video, make sure you check out his channel. Links in the description below. Peace.